It is Maiyegun live. Yeah. Thank you very much for joining me. You know what to do. After tuning in, reading the caption of the broadcast, make sure you actually read the description of the broadcast as well, the body, and like it, share it. Invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends, and tell them that Maiyegun today, they can join us. Maiyegun is live. It is actually going to be an interesting evening because of the topics of discussion I have brought to you this evening. So, but we are going to start first with the latest one, which is the meeting called by the ADC in Abuja, Transcorp 18 Hotel or so in Abuja today. In attendance, you have the Atikus, you have Mechi, Obi, Mark, and the rest of them. They were there to react to what they call the state of the nation, state of the country, the Electoral Act, the state of the economy, the type of government, and election, and all of that stuff. So they categorically rejected the signed 2026 Electoral Act, one signed by Tinubu a few days ago. So their next call out is that they would have to resist it enough that the 2026 Act probably would be revoked or something. I don't know how that's going to play out. So, but that is where we are going to start this evening, including a woman who has now become, the guest of the DSS, a woman that claimed that the Minister of Works, which is Devulumai, owed her a whooping sum of 304 million naira that he refused to pay her. So Devulumai said she's been harassing him online, therefore called the DSS to arrest her. So they took her from Ebonyi straight down to Abuja, and that now has become so escalated. So we're going to touch that as well as a callous response to those who continue to claim, according to him, that he is the one killing the opposition. In his statement with the National Assembly guys, senators and others, right? He told them that they should not mind everybody saying that because he did not kill opposition because he's got no guns, sarcastically, right? Let us go back to the Transcorp building where Atiku and others met to discuss what they called the way forward after Kolu rejected everybody's concern. National Assembly rejected them as well, and they still did what they did anyway, right? So here.
Declare a call that we must all.
The National Assembly failed in its duty to act in the interest of the country and its citizens. This 10th Assembly acted solely in their narrow and selfish interests. The National Assembly rejected the opportunity to deepen and strengthen our democratic process when it was presented to them by the people. They rejected the chance to act as true patriots when history beckoned. They chose to tear down rather than build a truly democratic society. History will remember them for this. It is obvious that the objective of the APC government and their accomplices in the legislature is to provide the legal pretext for the corruption of the electoral system. We demand that the National Assembly immediately commence a fresh amendment to the Electoral Act 2026. They must remove all obnoxious provisions and ensure that the Act reflects only the will and aspirations of Nigerians for free, fair, transparent, credible electoral process in the country.
Collapse of democracy in Nigeria is going to lead to the collapse of democracy in Africa because we are the largest democracy in Africa. These are some of the consequences that will definitely affect other democracies in Africa. So I will urge that, or I will call other opposition parties that are not here today to make
level of thuggery that has been introduced into politics now, it has never been this much. We haven't started campaign, and now you can imagine what will happen when we start campaign. The only reason that APC is desperate is because they're sure they cannot win the next election in a free and fair contest. Well, their desperation won't take them too far. As you heard from the address, we're prepared for the shenanigans they're coming up with.
The National Assembly.
Okay, maybe we should hope so. So according to them, they are still calling on the same people who said your opinions don't really matter. They are the ones to decide. I am talking about Akpabiole and co. They categorically said that because before they arrived at what they arrived at, this controversial electoral act that didn't add mandatory live transmission of election results. Before they arrived at that, yeah, all over the country for months, before years, over 2 years, we're doing consultations. They were calling meetings, spending money, traveling all over the country, you know, having people and other organizations to, contributions towards this, their supposed electoral act or electoral bill. But they still did what they wanted to do. They rejected all of that. So now the opposition is calling on them to start a fresh amendment, which means just to ensure the mandatory live transmission of election results, which is not going to happen. But Peter Obi was there too, right? He actually had to, in fact, Atiku's first, then Obi.
Man of NNPP. That speech has actually captured all the challenges we are facing in this country. I never thought anybody would be asked to make any remarks after listening to that speech. But let me say or advise that the speech delivered by the chairman of NNPP be sent to all the embassies, particularly the Western democratic embassies in this country, as the position of the Nigerian opposition political parties. And again, what you must bear in mind is that the collapse of democracy in Nigeria is going to lead to the collapse of democracy in Africa, because we are the largest democracy in Africa. These are some of the consequences that will definitely affect other democracies in Africa. So I will urge that, or I will call other opposition parties that are not here today to make sure that they are part of this movement of the unity of the opposition parties to ensure we restore our democracy.
So it is a movement to ensure that the right thing is done. A free and fair election is conducted by Tinubu. How they're going to go about that, we'll find out. Here is Peter Obi's own statement at the gathering, because it wasn't just about ADC, okay? It's the collection of some opposition parties and their leadership that met in that Transcorp. Obi, sorry, this picture is a little bit, kind of like dodgy, jumpy. I've done my best to stabilize it enough, but this is the best I could do. Please manage it.
A clear call that we must all be emboldened and build a new Nigeria. Next, we will now listen to the great mobilizer, soft-spoken, but that voice is a volcano. we jam our hands together as we listen to that very mild voice of Peter B.
The former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Chairman of all the parties, Excellencies, Demis, and Lord, you are existing to. I think, like the other person said, what needs to be said, how to be said. But it's critical that we repeat it as often as we can, so that Nigerians know we are together. There's need, very urgent need, for all the opposition parties, those who are not here today, we're pleading that we all come together to save our dear country. The government we have today, and say, and continue, is the worst ever in our dear country, Nigeria. There's no governance in Nigeria. The legislative arm is at its worst. The judiciary is no longer hope of the weak or the poor. We all know insecurity, killings, and abductions is worse than even countries at war. Just in the past 1 week, 34 in Kenya, Wednesday, Thursday, 50 in Zapata, Friday, and today, even while we're speaking today, over 20 already in Adamawa. Sick is all over the continent. I just mentioned a few. Poverty has increased dramatically in the past 2.5 years, from 87 million to about 140 million today, the highest in any country on earth. In fact, we now have almost over 30% of all the world poor living in Nigeria. We now have more people living in Nigeria, a country of 240 million, than China and India, a country of 2.8 billion combined. And that's the critical thing. This government has borrowed more in 2.5 years than all the governments since 1999, without anything to show for it. That the food prices have gone down. Actually, we have killed all our farmers. Because we have imported cheap goods and thrown our farmers into poverty, which will even worsen the hungry situation of Nigeria in the coming future. Manufacturers' houses are full of warehouses without anything to show for it. So we're in a crisis. And everybody have to come together to save the country. And I thank those who have started this journey of our coming together, all the opposition parties, all our appeals that yes, we, the masses of Nigeria, have to rise up now, because this situation will allow to continue to take its revenge on all of us and our children tomorrow. Thank you. God bless us.
His own message is almost the same all the time, reminding everybody that Nigeria needs saving. And if things continues like this, it is probably going to lead to having no country to call Nigeria again. That is his own message, making everybody understand what is at stake and why they have to save Nigeria. Some of them are already complaining that Tinubu is targeting the opposition and is locking them up. You know, El Rufai is still in detention. He was supposed to be in court yesterday, but unfortunately, the DSS failed to produce him because he's in the detention of the ICPC. ICPC is yet to charge him to court and all of that. So to them, it is a calculated move of Tinubu's regime to jail the opposition, while those who have committed similar crimes are currently walking free within the APC. So Buba Galadima was with the Shehu this evening, and he actually said something similar. Listen.
In the room, I walked into the room earlier at that press conference, and I saw the atmosphere. It does look like a dissatisfied group of people who feel that something is fundamentally wrong in the polity. But this law is passed and settled. In law, it's passed. You are asking that they should start another process of amendment. Is that possible?
Why not? I thought the entire law itself was an amendment to another law. What stops them from amending this one also? Technically. And we are angry. We shouldn't be the only people angry. You should be more concerned, because if things happen, I don't think you can afford running from this place and reach fellow doing Nkwara. You can't do that. So we are trying to save the country. These people in the 10th Assembly and the government of APC don't even know that by their actions, they hurt themselves. They make themselves hated by citizens, groups, and other political interests in the country. They said they have 32 governors or 36, I don't know how many out of 36 they have. And they are afraid to face free and fair election. Can't we ask why? If it is true that they have all these governors and all the governors have support, they have told us they won election before. If they have performed, what stops them from naturally improving on what they had before? That they are so jittery, so confused, so afraid that they have to coerce people by using institutions of government, stifle opposition, stifle free speech, jail people, send people to prison. They think they will be the last government in this country.
Who have they jailed?
You don't know? You are not aware that in Kano yesterday there was a massive demonstration by young men and women who accused the director of state security in Kano for aligning and becoming a bodyguard of the governor of Kano? You don't know about that? You don't know that Rufai is in prison? You don't know that Malami is in prison? Which of them can swear by the Quran or the Bible that they haven't done worse things than Malami and Rufai did?
So the government is wrong for prosecuting Malami and Rufai?
I'm not saying they're wrong, but why are they selective? There are those who some of those people who presided in the amendment of this bill are accused of stealing 500 billion naira of Nigerian taxpayers, and they are presiding over our destiny. Are you not? You don't feel concerned?
So I just want you I want to get it right.
Are you concerned? Are you not feeling concerned? Well, you should, because that is what they call the state capture. Everybody would just have to watch the thieves, the criminals, play with your destiny, or you actually move to stop them. Moving to stop them in this instance, or in this case, is more or less like optional. Normally, it shouldn't be optional. It should just be the only one to move to suspend them. No. It's optional in the sense that you have the voluntary slaves too. Because they couldn't have done all of this without the support of the willing slaves in that Nigeria, scattered across the country, from every nook and cranny of the country. So you would have, while you are trying to fight these ones, you would have to fight those ones too, or protect yourselves from the attacks from those ones. So it's all complicated. And that's why many people believe that the Nigerian politicians are so lucky. Like they are the luckiest politicians alive in the world because of what they are doing to people that people are seeing. But people are so divided that these guys have remained almost untouchable, except when they are like touching themselves, flexing their power, you know, whoever is in charge that time. And it goes on like that in circle. But the real victims of all of this, their shenanigans,